Welcome to your morning pick and roll live stream, everybody. It is play-in tournament round 2. Exciting games today. Win and you're in the playoffs. Lose and you are not in the playoffs. So should lead to some exciting action. We have two free picks for you guys to help you along with the enjoyment. But this is the Board YouTube channel. We do live streams like this for plenty of the games all throughout the playoffs, and we're going to do as many as possible all the way through the first and the second round on the weekday. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel to keep up with all that. If you're enjoying along the way, hit that thumbs up button, rate and review 5 stars. And as always, follow us on Twitter at the Board HQ so you can stay up to date with all the content we have on this channel. We have a Western Conference playoff preview coming a little bit later on today as well with myself, Pips, and a special guest. So as we always do, we're going to start off the stream with a recap of the previous stream's bets. It was a 1-in-1 day, however, plus 0.75 units. It was the big SGP that fails. Gary Trent, man, it's tough looking at the screen here on BetStamp. We have all these wins on the same game parlay, and then Gary Trent, the over 1.5. He didn't hit any. He had 5 shots. They were all pretty open. Didn't hit them all. You can hear the frustration for me as a Raptors fan. But on the show, we're up to 18.2 units, 6.8% ROI, 132 to 99 record because the other play did win. Pips, your thoughts on these two plays? Anything you want to add on to what we saw here?
Yeah, so
the read was great. I gotta say.
Yeah, the read on the minutes wasn't great, and that's probably a bit on my side because Nick Nurse bench players in playoffs should have expected him not playing that many minutes.
Hang
And
on. I think the minutes were as a result of his poor play. If he had hit like 1-3 earlier, I think he easily gets like 23 minutes.
yeah, that makes sense. But actually, I don't agree. He came back in the game with 1 minute left in the first quarter. So at the best, if he played the entire second quarter, he will be up to 30 minutes, and that will be 26 minutes, and that's okay. That's what I expected. But
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like if he's coming first time into the game after 11 minutes. Yeah, I don't think he was supposed to play over 20 minutes. So
Okay.
fortunate bit. Also, going back in last 5 minutes of the game, I don't think that was expected, but they needed something on offense, and he tried to get Gary Trent Jr. back in. He ended up playing 17 minutes and got 5 wide open threes. I expected him to play 25 plus minutes, and if he played 8 more minutes, he will have like 7 wide open threes, and the percentage for him to score 2 is like 80+%. So I think that was a great spot. Fortunate because everything else quite easily goes over. So yeah, but the main bet won, so we are good.
Yeah, it was the alt spread and the alt total that did win. So we're up. Instead, it
Both
almost
is
was a 2-unit day, but instead it's a 0.75 unit day.
Yeah,
And
but yeah, both were easy winners. Point total got to the 214 with all the late drama. And yeah, I was afraid at one moment about the alternative spread, but Nick Nurse made
yeah,
sure that this is a winner. So
I was nervous, and I was like, it's the Raptors. It's the fourth quarter. So, I mean, they didn't even win the game. Worrying about the spread, they didn't even win the basketball game. So, let's not talk about the Raptors anymore. Let's talk about some official picks for today's show. And we are going to go back to an alternate spread for this one as well, too, because they have been so successful this season. So, let's drive them in with the official picks here. Just check them in, and we are all good. So, first official play is in the Bulls and Heat game. I kind of teased everybody on Twitter. DeRozan and Hero are not included, so nobody has to fear about that one. The two mortal enemies of the show not here, but we do have Bam Adebayo, 15 plus points, and we have the Bulls alternative spread at plus 10.5. If you caught our Eastern Conference playoff preview yesterday, which I encourage you to do on this channel or on the podcast feed, You can also see that we love the 5.5 in the Bulls. So 10.5 here is great. That's minus 120 odds at DraftKings. The second play is in the Thunder and Wolves game. Obviously, the second game here. Error in the graphic. I'll fix in a second here. But it's Gobert on his return. 12 plus rebounds. And we have Shea Gilgeous-Alexander over 27.5 points for minus 120 at FanDuel. Okay, so let's go to the Bulls and Heat first of all. What are your thoughts on this one? And why do you like this play?
So this is probably the most matchup thing I ever had on the stream. It's entirely matchup because I didn't like the way Ben played against the Hawks. Hawks did a great job with limiting touches for Bam Adebayo, but his body language and his willingness to do whatever it takes wasn't there. Now the season on the line, I think we need to. He got all the critics. I don't think even he deserves so many critics, but he got all the critics, and Butler was spared, even though Butler had worse game.
Yeah.
But it's the narrative about playoff Butler, so he doesn't get any bad words when he underperforms. But that was one of the worst Butler games ever. So
Couldn't make a layup. It was like just, it was crazy. The looks that Miami Heat had at the rim and they couldn't score.
yeah, I had the similar same game parlay, and I missed on Butler for one bucket. So
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
yeah, it was even higher. I think it's about 400 or something, 450 plus 450. So
That
yeah,
stinks.
that stinks. Yeah, but let's go back to the Bam Adebayo. You can show the graphics. So that's the perfect bet for Bam Adebayo because he's very consistent, scoring 16 to 20 points the entire season. So over the course of season, when he's playing 30 plus minutes, and he will play 42 minutes tonight for maybe that range, 40 to 44 minutes tonight. This is a graph showing when he played 30 plus minutes, he scored 15 plus points in 85% of the games. So he is clearing this at a very, 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 very high clip. And today, it's just the game where he must score in order to for he to have any chance of winning this game. And I'll just explain why. I'll also say last two games against the Bulls, similar rosters, he scored 27 and 23 points, so very, very well over this line. But so you watched the game against the Raptors, and my personal view was that Patrick Williams, Caruso, and Beverly, with their unbelievable defense in second half, got the Bulls back into the game with obviously Lavin being
Yeah.
hot. But the Patrick Williams, Caruso, and Beverly were playing some high level defense. They were
100%.
not, yeah, yeah. I say so tonight we have these three players, Patrick Williams, Caruso, and Beverly, taking turns on Hero and Butler. So these three guys will be the entire game on these two players. Like two of these three are always on the court, and they will be guarding Butler or Hero. And Hero obviously has some issues performing in very difficult matchups, and Caruso and Beverly are probably one of the worst in the league. Butler won't have that many problems with Patrick Williams and Caruso, but still, it's not easy for him to go inside. So difficult matchups for Butler, difficult matchup for Hero, and Vucevic is one of the worst defensive players in the league. So Adebayo should have a pretty easy game against Vucevic. He can, if he gets one on one against Vucevic, he is easily going to the rim. He's easily going to the free throw line. If Bam Adebayo, if Vucevic drops and leave him space to shoot, Bam Adebayo can shoot. If we have transition, Vucevic is slow, Bam Adebayo is getting to the rim. Like if they somehow Heat start shooting great, Vucevic will show at the level of the screen. Then Adebayo will have wide open lanes against way smaller players. So probably getting a lot of the free throw line. So everything in this game screams Bam Adebayo. I'm not a fan of his offensive game and some passiveness, but he used everything of that in the last game, and I usually don't see two games in a row from him. He's usually like three unbelievable games. The one game he's very passive, that does nothing. Then like seems like Spo has some conversation with him, and the next game he's also again back to being aggressive. That's the way with Bam Adebayo this season. And this line is 15 points. He'll play 40 minutes. He should be able to clear this easily.
Yeah.
And that's the part of Bam. All matchups, everything goes into his way. This in clear rate and his scoring and everything. The other side of this bet is obviously Bulls plus 10.5. Almost the same thing against the Raptors. We are going with the Bulls. Do not lose by double digits. Yeah, I think
Small
I
spread. I mean, 209 spread. Sorry, small total, 209 total, and you're asking Miami to win by 11 here. It's
so
big ass.
this should see like Miami winning 105 to 94 or something like that, and I don't see it happening. Zach Lavine can have an amazing game, and there is no one to stop him. They won't do as well as the Raptors against DeMar DeRozan, and they will do great against Vucevic probably because of the BAM, but that's probably it. So if I'm looking at Lavine and DeRozan plus Vucevic going against Hero Butler and Bam Adebayo with Butler and Hero being guarded by unbelievable defensive players, great defensive players, and on the other side, not so much. I'm leaning Bulls, and then I see 5.5 spread, and that's not something I would do it here. I think there is value in just trade betting it, but going with this combination, I think it's way better, especially with so tight game and so small total. I really think that chances of Miami Heat winning by 11 or more points are very slim, and chances for Bam Adebayo not scoring 15 points and Miami Heat winning by 11 points is almost non-existent for me. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think Bam Adebayo will have a great game, and they still won't cover this line.
Yeah, it'd have to be like 111 to 100 for Miami, around there. So not
Yeah,
expecting that. I thought this comment's funny. HGC said, "My heart sank when you said Vooch's a terrible defender." I couldn't hide visibly my anger hearing that because I just watched the Raptors not abuse that in the fourth quarter when we all know he's a bad defender, and we talked about it. I don't know if we talked about it yesterday or maybe we talked about it. We talked about it privately, me and Pips.
yeah.
And we said that in the fourth quarter, they stopped doing it, even though it worked the entire game. So that's why I was visibly upset when he said that. But
High
uh,
high pick and roll against Vucevic is empty side corner with good shooter is probably the best thing you can run the entire game, and they
yeah,
did run it,
and they
and
did, and it worked. And then they stopped, and points dried up. Yes.
they something I'll say a couple of times Bulls did not play standard pick and roll. They switched Vucevic on yeah, they switched Vucevic on Fred VanVleet, and I was okay with Fred VanVleet isolations against Vucevic. I think that he scored very high clip against Vucevic, but that's a rare thing. And I didn't understand Barnes' isolation against DeMar DeRozan. DeMar DeRozan is poor on defense, but he clipped I think 3 times Barnes into those tries. When you get clipped by DeMar DeRozan, you should just stop doing it because that's not the thing you should ever be doing. Barnes, I was confused there, and even running isolations with Siakam on Patrick Williams. Why do you run isolation against good defensive player? That's you needed to play pick and roll to get switched on worse defender. They didn't do it. So yeah, very very poor
We talk
execution.
about we're talking about Nick Nurse a lot. You're complaining about him. You might be watching a lot more Nick Nurse next season if he's the Rockets head coach.
Yeah, I'm not
So,
looking forward to it, especially with so many good coaches being on the list. As we have Atkinson, we have Emil Doka, we have a lot of good coaches. So Nick Nurse being favorite is not something I'm looking forward to. I think he's amazing defensive coach, one of the best in the league, but he probably will need a great assistant coach or anything for the offensive part. And yeah, I don't want to see it honestly.
all right, enough about the Raptors. I can only stomach so much. And yes, at least they have lottery odds and lottery chances instead of losing to the Bucks in 4 or 5 in the first round. And also, if OKC and Chicago win today, Raptors actually have the 11th best lottery odds because obviously those guys will be in the playoffs. But let's go to the second game now. Pick was already given out, but let's go through the explanation here. There's a question also from the chat from Jacob 17 Bossman asking about some Gobert unders because of his potential injury woes. But Pips, you have him here on an over for your place. So maybe just kind of touch on any concerns or I guess lack thereof for Gobert's injury because the play on our second SGP here is Gobert 12 plus rebounds and Shea Gilgeous-Alexander over 27.5 points, which is minus 120. At FanDuel, take it away.
So I think if he's playing, he's ready to play, especially after some things that happened last when he was, yeah, and he had,
Punching his teammate during a game.
yeah, and he had, I would say, a lot of time to get it sorted out.
Yeah.
So I think he's good to go if he starts. If he doesn't start, then Shea should win this easily. I mean, I like it both ways, even if Gobert is playing or not. But yeah, I don't think their rim protection without Gobert is anywhere good. But I like their defensive scheme. If Gobert is out there, I think Shea should just. The entire season we were betting mid-range shooters and drivers over against the Wolves, even though McDaniels was there and he was amazing at point of attack defense, everyone was still killing them in the pick and roll. And Shea is no different. I think Shea should do great tonight. He's killing this line over the since the All Star break. He just scoring 30 points, 30 plus points almost in every game. And the other part is Gobert rebounding. Thunders, as we saw in the last game, Jonas Valanciunas had 18 rebounds in 30 minutes.
Yeah,
And
he thrashed the PRA that we were thinking about but didn't
yeah,
take.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, someone asked, and I was like, okay, that looks great, but that's the thing. That's why I didn't bet it because you never know what they focus so much on Brandon Ingram that Jonas had so many good looks.
Yeah.
And yeah, Bear played against the Thunders, obviously, 3 times this season. First game, 34 minutes, 16 rebounds. Second game, only 24 minutes, still 15 rebounds. Then he had a game where he got injured in the first quarter, had 4 rebounds in 9 minutes, so he was on pace for another 15 rebound game against the Thunder. On the overall season, Thunders allow third most rebounds to opposing bigs, and Gobert really thrived against the teams that allow top 10 that are ranked top 10 rebounds allowed to centers, and that you can just look at the numbers, and he's like almost always under against good rebounding team and almost easily over against poor rebounding team. If you look at the season, and you can get poor as Thunders, like they are the worst almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, if
Especially
you
if Jay Will closes this one. I know he got 8 rebounds last game, but
Yeah.
small.
So even if you take a look at some other teams for against the how he did against the other teams were that ranked so high. So the last two against the Nets, he had 13 and 12 rebounds. They ranked almost the same as the Thunder. 13 rebounds against the Memphis after the Adams injury, so they are ranked also very high. And if you take a look at the games against the Pacers, he had same rebound allowed. He had 21 and 16 rebounds. So yeah, he really thrives. So the game against the Lakers, he had 21 rebound. Yeah, so every matchup with a team with poor rebounding, he had almost like average 14, 15 rebounds. So I just think he should be great here for the rebounds. I don't think they can play him off the floor because they don't have good shooters. If we have Jalen Williams in the corner and you go for his shooting, you are okay with him making 1 to 2 threes and have Gobert free roaming inside.
Yeah.
That's easy trade. Like I will always play Gobert like 35 minutes easily in that matchup, even though Jalen Williams can shoot, but yeah, not enough high clip for them to cause any troubles for the Wolves.
Good point here. I mean, for Gobert, you've got a mid-range shooting team at OKC. There's going to be rebounds there. And interestingly, this will kind of segue into I'm going to ask like who you think will win this game. The Timberwolves against the Lakers. If anybody watched the game, I think you said you fell asleep, but the fourth quarter and overtime was some of the worst basketball I've ever seen in my life. And I was listening to a podcast and I found out that in the last like 8 minutes of the game, the Timberwolves did not attempt a single field goal inside of 22 feet other than putbacks. So their actual plays, drawing up shots from Chris Finch, this like offensive minded coach, all they did was shoot mid range and threes, which is just crazy. And it was only one, sorry, that broke that. It was the dunk from Anthony Edwards on the fast break in overtime.
Yeah.
So a lot of rebounding potential here for Rudy Gobert. But we had your prediction for the Bulls. You think you kind of like the Bulls in this matchup with the Heat. How about this one, Thunder at the Wolves? Who do you think is going to advance to the playoffs from this?
That's I just want to say like the game against the Wolves, Anthony Davis had 15 rebounds, so they need Gobert to rebound there.
Oh, his
Like
presence was definitely missed inside.
yeah,
And
yeah.
Cat was just doing cardio in the
And
fourth quarter, man.
now this matchup, Thunder and Wolves. No, no Wolves. I mean Thunder. Yeah, and Wolves.
Thunder Wolves.
Difficult. I don't know. Like this is like as wild as it gets. Like there's like so many things that could go wrong for either side. They, I think they had. So they played one. I know for one game that this season that Shea was out, but first game of the season they won by 7 Wolves. Then second game which Shea was out in, they lost by 7, but that's the game where Gobert got injured. And the third game, fourth game, Gobert was out. So we didn't we had only one game with the full matchup with everyone being healthy. So we actually don't know how they match up against one and against another. Gobert, they are like heavy drive team, and Gobert inside is big deal, kind of big deal. So yeah, I don't know. Like they will
Yeah.
Lou Dort against Edwards is the toughest matchup he can go against because he can match up his size, his speed, everything. He's like a bull, and both of them are like a bull, and yeah, difficult matchup for Anthony Edwards. Then they will double team Towns on almost every possession. He's also questionable with some like regard questionable, so he could be out, it will be crazy. And yeah, that's the thing. Like who if Edward is in tough matchup, in Towns is in a tough matchup, who is going to score for the Wolves? So you have so Kyle Anderson and Prince and Mike Conley should be the guys to win the game for the Wolves, and you never know with those two players, with three players. They are not all-time great scorers. So we don't know what can we see from them. But I know that Edwards and Towns will be probably pushed out of this game as much as possible. So they'll make other guys beat them. And on the other side, it's Shea and Gide heavy driving against the Gobert. And so we can have Shea shooting 15 on 25, or we can have Shea shooting 9 of 25. But he'll have high usage. So it will be down to the other role players' contribution. And if he have like Isaiah Joe making 3 to 4 threes to turn up and change the course of the game, or on the other side, Prince scoring 3 to 4 threes, like it will be very tight, and it's hard to predict because it's always hard to predict how will bench players do and sixth or seventh players on the roster do. So I think this game, like, I don't think if anyone can predict how this game will end. I think they are talking nonsense because you just there's no data and there is no matchups that you can for sure say, okay, this will work or this won't work. I
Yeah.
know talent is on the side of the Wolves, but Edwards and Towns will have difficult matchups. They will go do anything to stop them, and then it's kind of even. I don't know.
Yeah, well, the spread for this one is also widely at 5.5. There's actually a 4.5 lurking potentially at power play if you have access to that one. I'm not sure if that one is still up,
If
however, but
if
five
Wolves
and a
are,
half.
if
Sorry.
Wolves play second half the way they were playing against the Lakers, they will lose this.
Yeah, I think
Other,
that's a bit high personally, 5.5 for this
yeah,
one, but that's looking like what it's going to settle at here. Like you said, the Wolves are the more talented team. Cat oftentimes in playoff games, like that Lakers late game, he wasn't doing much. Although I kind of agree with HDC here when he says that if OKC goes small and Rudy is freeing up Cat as a scorer, that makes a bit of a difference. Partially agree with that. I think foul trouble as well is a big deal for Cat because there's a lot of tricky players inside, and he has been dealing with foul trouble a lot in these
yeah,
postseason games when his minutes are high up, and that was the case as well against the Lakers. So also Anthony Edwards against the Lakers, I think he had 7 points. He was like 1 of 12, something like that from three. I don't know if it was injury related. He had the tape on his shoulder, but like you just don't know what you're gonna get out of the Timberwolves here, and that's the biggest concern.
and I'll say Mark is a great coach, and he showed that against the Pelicans.
Yeah,
He showed
yeah.
that against the entire season, and in do or die games, I think he has the edge here. So Wolves are more talented team, but I think Thunders have better coach, and he'll do better,
Yeah.
better at adjusting.
And we have one more question. Showtime is asking, you've spoken negatively about Giddy in the past. I don't know if you've ever said you hate Giddy, but Showtime asks, can Pitts explain why he always says he hates Giddy? What do you not like about Josh Giddy? By the way, Giddy was sensational against the Pelicans.
I don't hate Giddy. I just have had some. He did. I would say he did. Yeah, he's very inefficient. I don't like inefficient players.
Right.
That's simple as it. He's one of the most inefficient players in the entire league. So I don't like inefficient players, and he obviously can shoot. But yeah, he had an unbelievable
He is
game.
a very
Defense,
smart player,
yeah,
but the efficiency has spilled over from his NBL days because he was extremely inefficient going into the draft. But
yeah. I'll
I mean,
say
good player.
can shoot, very inefficient, and can defend. So that's not a player I like.
I
So,
I, I think
so
I think it's a fair assessment of
yeah,
Josh
he's
Giddey.
obviously very young and will improve. And I don't say I won't like him in the future, but as,
Right.
as of that right now, I'm not a huge fan. But also, it's the kind of Houston Rockets, Oklahoma City Thunder kind of thing when people start talking about Gide being better than Jalen Green. That's where I draw the line.
One last thing I want to say here. HTC predicts a Heat win because DeMar DeRozan's daughter can't scream during free throws. So I'll give a little funny story from my perspective on that situation. Obviously, that made me mad watching the Raptors shoot 18 of 36 from the line. And I just knew that all of Twitter was going to be talking about DeRozan's daughter. And I couldn't stand it because, like, how did a group of grown men not hit free throws because of a distraction like that? Whether it was a factor or not, shooting like that, she's going to get credit. So I just shut down Twitter for the night, for the morning. And then in the morning, my boss, who tells me like what shorts he wants to see on the channel because of like some trending topics, he said, you should do a YouTube short about DeMar DeRozan today. So I had to eat up all my pride and talk about DeRozan's daughter myself on this channel. And that was, I can't tell you how mad I am about this game. All right, enough on the Raptors here. Let's go to the recap of the picks that we have for you guys today that we are locked in and we have ready to go in the 2 play-in games. First of all, we have in the Bulls Heat game, no DeRozan daughter apparently in the building. Adebayo 15 plus points and the Bulls alt spread of 10.5 plus 10.5. That is for minus 120 odds at DraftKings. And the second play, we have the Thunder at the Wolves, and we're taking Gobert 12 plus rebounds. Not concerned about the back spasm issues. If he's here, he's healthy. That's the expectation. And we're going to go Shai Gilgeous-Alexander over 27.5 points for minus 120 odds at FanDuel for that one. So, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Playoffs start tomorrow. We're going to be back on Monday on the Pick and Roll live stream for more episodes like this to give you guys the free picks for the day slate. But also, make sure you're subscribed to the channel because we're also dropping a Western Conference playoff preview tonight. That'll be coming out a little bit later on tonight. We're recording at 6 p.m. Eastern time. I'll have that out for you guys as soon as possible after the fact. So make sure you have subscriptions, notifications on. Follow us on podcast platform. Like if you enjoyed, rate and review 5 stars. And as always, we hope to catch these ones, and we hope to see you next time for more Pick and Roll. Thank you again, everybody.